all accounts, the current president, President Biden's case of COVID amounts to a mild cold right now. He's taking Paxlovid, the antiviral drug that's proven to be extremely effective. And for some reason, the White House, though, is oddly defensive.
Was the president infected?
Where was he infected? I don't think we know. I certainly don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Look, I don't think that matters, right? I think what matters is we prepared for this moment.
Really? Where the president got COVID doesn't matter. Where the White House protocols broke down doesn't matter. Where science and testing and science and following the science broke down doesn't matter. Kelly Meyer, live on the North Lawn with more on the White House's response. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Leland. Well, there are a lot of questions today on who the president has been in contact with now that we know he's tested positive for COVID-19. Leland, this is the president of the United States. He is meeting with people, shaking hands, fist bumping all of the time. So reporters here pressing back on just how he got it.
You said it doesn't matter where he got it, but how can it not matter where he got it if that is something that, of course, is involving contact tracing? This administration is taking it very seriously. How can it not matter?
Will you let us know if you do figure out where the president did pick up this virus? I mean, it certainly does matter, at least for history.
What I'm trying to say is the moment that we're in right now is what matters.
And the White House says they don't know when or how the president got infected. They are beginning contact tracing starting today, they say. And there were a lot of questions today, Leland, on the term close contact. At first, the White House not saying who they were determining came in close contact with the president, then later saying that Vice President Kamala Harris is considered a close contact. And so is the Chief of Staff, Ron Klain. I talked with him here on the North Lawn at the White House. He was wearing a mask as he was walking back into the West Wing.
Interesting, and for the past couple of months at least, they wouldn't tell us how often the president was being tested. So we just don't know what their protocols were, and obviously they weren't answering those questions today. Kelly, thank you very much. We appreciate it. For a White House desperate to change the conversation to anything other than crime or inflation or the border, this is a gift. Suddenly, all of the cable networks, all they talk about is, well, Mr. Biden's weight, his symptoms, runny nose, dry cough, some fatigue, no fever this morning. Okay, well, how might his heart medication interact with the Paxlovid? That was an entire segment. There were hours dedicated to his medical history, literal ad nauseum speculation by doctors who had never examined the president. It's almost like he's a prize fighter getting ready and Vegas is determining the odds, although, of course, nobody will admit that on television, that that's what they're doing. The good news, of course, and why we can talk about this, is that everybody agrees that President Biden's going to be fine. How do we know that? Well, Wall Street told us. They didn't even blink at the diagnosis. In fact, stocks were down when the news broke, and then they rocketed up. That tells you where we are with COVID. The president getting COVID just isn't a big deal. So in normal times, this would be great for a president at 33% approval rating. Finally now, there's something to talk about other than inflation, crime, and the border. Most of all, it's just sort of unseemly to criticize the president when he's sick. Think about White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who gleefully came down to the North Lawn to be on TV. He's normally used to getting grilled. Today, it was softballs.
I've talked to him throughout the day. He's doing very well. He's got a sniffly nose, but he is busy at work, doing the nation's business.
There's just one problem for Klain and his boss. This forces everyone to focus on the one thing the White House really doesn't want to talk about, which is Biden's health, Biden's age. It only exacerbates their problems. Remember, 18 months ago, President Biden promised to shut down the virus, follow the science, end racism, fix climate change with net zero emissions by 2050, immigration reform system to welcome immigrants, economy, lower gas prices, defeat inflation, and hit record low unemployment, and build an affordable health care system and expand the Affordable Care Act. None of that has happened. Instead, he's at 33% with COVID. And there are active talks about a primary challenge or who might run in 2024. Certainly, being 79 years old and having COVID, well, now more people are talking about his age and his health. That's not good for the White House. So no wonder the White House was defensive today. That's on point. Joe Walsh is here, former Congressman and radio host. At some level, he kind of can't catch a break right now, right?
Yeah, Leland, I love you. I don't know the point you're trying to make. This isn't something that they did. It's not something that they planned. Our 79-year-old president has COVID. I tend to think that's kind of a serious deal because of his age. So look, he's the most powerful man on the planet. He's got COVID, which older people are very susceptible to getting sick and dying from. It's a big story.
No, I don't disagree with you that it's a big story. I think from the White House's perspective, as defensive as they were about it, was pretty telling. And they had to sort of walk this line, right, of saying it's not a big story because we're prepared, because he's double vaccinated, because he's boosted, because he's this, because he's that, and yet sort of challenging any reporter who said, hey, wait a second, this could be a big deal. Just from a political standpoint, though, you have to go back to the President Biden in 2020 saying this about COVID. Take a listen.
I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm not going to shut down the country, but I'm going to shut down the virus.
For someone who's ran on this issue, this is sort of a stunning acknowledgement of defeat by the White House, right?
Look, I think here's the problem. He shouldn't have said that, Leland, because this virus is not going to be shut down. This is something that we as Americans are going to have to live with. He shouldn't have said that because generally, President Biden, the Biden administration has done a decent job. I would argue, Leland, way better than the Trump administration's done, attacking this virus, getting the vaccines out there and spreading the message that people should get vaccinated.
I don't want to argue back and forth about the Trump administration. They're the ones who did Operation Warp Speed. They're the reasons we have the vaccines and had them so quickly to begin with. But either way, just from a perspective for the White House, President Biden coming down with COVID, you're saying is a bad and serious thing. And I think that was the point, which is he can't catch a break here.
No, it's a serious thing, I think, because of his age. Is it a bad thing? We'll see, I think, and all the experts say he's going to be fine. This is, again, something that was dumped in their lap. My hope, Leland, is that they can turn this into an opportunity, turn it into a positive, and he can demonstrate next week that he's bounced back and he's 79 and he's got a lot of vim and vigor. So if they're smart, Leland, they will turn this into an opportunity and say, look at me, now go get vaccinated, go get boosted, because even at my age, because I was vaccinated and boosted, right, I'm just fine.
Okay, so the flip side, though, is how to deal with the messaging of being the guy who said, I'm going to shut down the virus, I'm going to bring America back to normal. You can't do that if all of a sudden you turn around and say, oh, well, now everybody's got to start wearing masks again and social distance and everything else. The fact of the matter is it didn't work politically. The White House was doing that, and Democratic governors were saying, we're done, because it polled so badly. Here's Dr. Jha talking about if you can't protect the president, who can you protect?
The message that some people are going to take from this is that it's inevitable that everyone is going to get COVID at some point. I'm wondering if you think that's a reasonable assumption for people to make about this, and also what does this say about the state of the pandemic and how much longer this is going to be a part of our lives in this way?
Yeah, so based on the CDC data, about 70+% of Americans have been infected. And I have said, I think from this podium, that I don't believe that every American will be infected.
Again, they're caught between two realities, and they want to live in the middle.
You know, Leland, you know what they're caught with? And again, I know Biden couldn't have said this from the moment he got elected. They're caught with almost half of this country, the part of this country that listens to Fox News every night, that never believed the vaccine was real, that never that believed, never believed
Joe,
the virus was real.
come on. It's not.
No,
It wasn't half. Don't impugn
still,
the intelligence of half of the country. Come on. Are there people who are quackadoodle
yes.
who say that? Yes. It's not 50% of America.
No. I will say that because I still hear from these people, Leland.
They're not
every
half the country.
single
There's
day.
very reasonable
Every
people.
single
There's
day.
very reasonable people who. This is the inherent problem. It's the reason that turns people off is that you say that if you support President Trump or you watch Fox News, you don't believe the virus is real. That's just not true.
I'll wait. We'll take turns.
Go ahead.
Leland, the numbers are clear, right? When you look at who's died from this virus, who's been hospitalized from this virus, they are people who live in Trump counties. They are people who live in red America. And yes, for 2.5 years, Fox News, Newsmax, all the rest of them have been spreading a bunch of bullshit and disinformation about this virus and the vaccines. Biden has to live with that.
Well,
that's the truth.
We're way off. So I understand your point, and I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon. It's good to see you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Leland.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.